sign it and.
Tell them as long as they fix the signs downtown, we'll do it.
I mean, if we
Yeah,
don't sign it, I
have
don't know
no
what they're
problem
gonna do.
with Ryan
But,
signing
Yeah.
it.
No, you're good.
all right, you just want to make a motion?
Make a motion for the chairman to sign
I don't know, state project.
state project number 28139, municipal work zone agreement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay, any other business?
I don't know, selectmen's comments?
Yeah.
Or
So,
whatever, or now, email addresses. I have been contacted a couple of times now. We've been trying to get email addresses forever. I don't think that using personal email addresses, and at one point it was brought up and discussed of having a chair, vice chair, select person email address, and that address should roll with the slot. It's not used for personal information or anything. It's used so, say Andy's done and he's been working on something, then whoever comes into that position can go through those emails and see Andy had been working on this project, what had happened with it, et cetera, and follow through. A little bit of continuity, something that we haven't had. And I think that it would really, I think it would help. I have a phone number, which I prefer phone calls. It's easier for me than email. I don't have a computer. Everything I do on my phone. But I do understand that there are people that do prefer the email versus phone calls. But I really think that it's time to get these set up, maybe with our Atlantic Broadband.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If we're going to have Atlantic Broadband in here, maybe we could talk to them about getting some email
Well, I think it
accounts.
all ties into our website and how we currently have our email addresses, I believe. That's always been the issue in the past,
Okay.
which I know it's been talked about, but I don't think there was ever an official. I think everybody agreed it needed to be done, but I don't think anybody was ever truly given an action. It was supposed to be part of the website thing. I'm not sure
Okay,
if
well-
that became part of it or not, but
I'll look into it along with our team leaders. Okay.
I guess I'll just comment on that is, I mean, Gmail's free. When I first started this adventure, I created a separate Gmail account just for this, and that's all I use it for. So I would encourage other members to do the
I
same.
have so many passwords and so many different other things. It's like I would just soon have one and let it roll. Like I said, continuity is a good thing.
Okay. Very good.
All right. Okay, does that conclude other business? We'll move on to the approval of minutes. First up, we'll do the January 28th. This was a meeting I missed, so I'm going to abstain from the vote.
I have corrections.
I don't remember him being excused.
Actually, it says right in here that I excused him. You want me to just give you where I circled the corrections, or do you want me to give them to you?
Is it grammar or
Yeah.
context?
Mostly grammar.
Do you want to hold them over for approval at a
If-
subsequent
no, I
meeting?
If
mean,
it's
it
just
should-
grammar, I can change it, no problem.
Yeah.
If it's contextual, then we can discuss
Right.
it.
No, it's just mostly grammar. And then in the public comments, where I can never say her last name, Alex from. I know.
I'm gonna get it spelled
No,
wrong,
no.
no matter what.
I'm
is
not talking
printed.
about her. No, on
It's
that
one of
part,
those
you could spell it anyway. I wouldn't. But she was, if I understood her correctly, they were interested in the property if it's cleaned up.
Yeah, that was what her.
Both.
Specified.
I watched the meeting.
Was it both? Okay. Because oh, okay. All right. But if you just add that in there, even if you add both. I don't know, it was just something that, and like I said, and then there was a few grammar, so I'll give it to you, but I'll make a motion to go ahead and accept them with the changes.
Second.
Is that,
All in favor? I'm
Aye.
abstaining.
that's right, you're not.
All right, so next up, we have January 24th meeting minutes. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Next up, we have second public comment that pertain to the topics discussed at today's meeting. We politely request. And we'll start with Tim.
Name is Timothy Long. Just an inquiry. Wonder what the status is of the abandoned property next to Cumberland Farms. Do you have any?
Working on it.
Still working on it. And the second thing is that I have, and I'll make this very brief. Does MetroCast have a monopoly on their broadband service to the community? I mean, the contract is up.
Yeah,
Is the town able to secure other bids?
I
ahead,
can
Dave.
respond. Yeah, basically, they do have in effect, a monopoly, because they've already invested in the community and have run all that cable and everything. So, in some communities that are much denser communities, when I worked in the Boston suburbs back in the 90s, we had a second cable provider come into the community so that we had actual competition. But that would, be a second company coming in and investing in putting up all that, cabling all through the community at great expense to try to siphon off some of the customers from the other vendor. And under the Telecommunications Act, you can't give one provider preferential terms over the other one, so you had to give them the same terms and conditions as your initial provider. So in densely populated communities, it's actually possible to get some competition. But when you're out in the sparsely populated areas like where we live, you're basically stuck with your provider. I'm sorry to say that.
Between about the 10 to 20% increase from last year to this year over the cable.
You're talking about the rates?
Yes.
Yeah, well, again, there's no ability to regulate rates
Okay. Thank you.
in either federal or state law. They gave that away on all of us when they passed those laws.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Humphrey?
Just a couple quick things. I know, Ryan, you weren't at the last meeting. One of the things that I brought up on the agenda, which I assume you saw, was the public involvement during the meeting. And I think tonight would have been a good time too, because I know there were some questions that some people would have loved to have asked Dana while she was here. I hope you do reconsider that, so that during some of these discussions, I mean, it could have been the same thing there with the Atlantic broadband discussion. Would have been a quick comment from the public, would have made it a little bit easier. The only other item that I had was, I noticed that on this agenda, the open items and there are still some open items that might have helped clarify it, because I know the town-owned properties is still something that's gonna be going through, and as well as where we stand on the signs and things like that for Governor's Road. I just would assume that you'd be putting it back on future agenda items here, so that they don't get missed.
I'm afraid that's my doing or my fault, because I wasn't used to seeing things on a meeting agenda that where there's nothing planned, no action plan relative to that item. So I went, well, what are these doing here? So I just took them off. So if the board wants them back on, I can put them on.
Yeah, well, that was something, because I know there were items in the past that got missed, is the reason there's over there. So, just to make sure they didn't get bypassed in future meetings. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Lynette McDougall. This is regarding the new website we're going to have. May I ask if it's been tested by selected public users for and usability?
Virtual town halls and schools is a large provider of municipal and public school websites. They started in New England, but they've got customers all over the country.
What was a selected group from our town used?
Pardon?
Was a selected group used in testing it from
Well,
our town?
not to my knowledge, no. But their websites have gained widespread acceptance through municipal clients all over our
The reason
region.
why I asked this and everything is, recently, before you came along and everything else,
Yes.
there was information lost and unrecoverable, and I just want to make sure that that doesn't happen again. And we had a lot of virus attacks on our website,
Oh,
and no matter how big you are and how good you are, because there's quite a few of us here that have worked in software and everything,
okay.
you can still be in that. And the only reason why I was saying about having somebody, some people, a group in the town look at it is there's a lot of people here that are not literate with websites and things like that. So if some kind of a teach me class or something like that might be helpful.
Okay. Well,
And that's where it would have been nice to have been able to talk to you guys, at the time it was spoken about. Okay?
okay.
Nothing to get you guys, just information. That's
Okay,
all.
well, I would just say when the new website goes live, go and check it out, and if there's things that
That's after the fact.
aren't working the way you want, let us know and we'll talk to them and get it straightened out.
Thank you again. Two things. One, very quickly. For a long time, I've advocated for replanting of the town beach. When you have model tree cover, you have 20% lower temperatures, less exposure to skin cancer. Interestingly, on rural roads, when you have a tree canopy, your degradation and loss of the volatile components of the asphalt is also reduced, so you get lower road maintenance costs. Just side information. More importantly, this weekend is the deliberative session, and I suggest that having all of the warrants read for discussion and deliberation of the citizens who attend is of use. In past times, we have not stood on ceremony. Chris, as the moderator, has read them off. The selectmen and the budget committee have both offered detailed information. The vote of the budget committee carries the position of the budget committee. If someone is in the minority as to the use of the technology fund, they can speak to that, but the vote is what carries the opinion of the board. So it should be a wonderful thing. Even the petition warrant article and changing the amount by dollar are things of debating interest to people who attend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. McDougall, relative to the Atlantic Broadband, who used to be MetroCast, if you could think about seeing if they can, throw in a couple of grants to get additional recording equipment for downstairs and maybe the fire station or police station. MetroCast did that. That's the computer back behind Ryan. It seems to be acting a little funny right now. we might be wanting to have a little more money to replace it. I'm not sure what's going on. Hopefully it's just full. But as you start talking about contract negotiations and things, that's something.
Yeah.
I've also heard talk from the department heads. I forget who it was, but one or two of them had mentioned getting high speed, having them give high speed internet to like the police station, the fire station, maybe town hall, included in, hey, you want a franchise agreement? How about if you also do this? And that might, maybe they will, maybe they won't. You know, like you said, they're kind of a monopoly.
Right. Thank you.
Can I respond to the gentleman? Equipment grants are one of the areas where they do have some ability to accommodate municipalities. So if there are specific needs in terms of equipment for your local access broadcast or whatever, if somebody could provide that information and we could take that up with them in negotiations.
Yeah, the previous one was basically a blanket $5,000 grant for, and then the idea was to get it on public access TV. Ended up that was cumbersome. We never did figure out how to do it, so we ended up using YouTube as our mechanism to get it out to the public, and that seems to be working fairly well.
Oh, okay.
So that was how MetroCast had done it. Whether or not Atlantic Broadband would be willing to do that, or if they wanted an equipment list, I don't know.
Mhm.
If they could let us know, we could come up with something. I'm sure.
Okay, okay.
All right. Does that conclude our public comment? I don't see any more. I'll close public comment. Next up, expenditure report. Dave, I don't see, it's not much.
Do we have, I'm not certain we have
We don't even have a budget
Yeah,
yet.
we don't have a budget
I think
yet,
we were
but-
planning on doing it monthly going forward.
Okay. Next up is administrator comments.
I've already covered everything I wanted to cover. Thank you.
Okay, next up, selectmen comments. Andy?
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank, I just had something and I forgot. Go fast? No, it's already
It's
passed.
over with.
Oh, reference to the opening of the beach. It's my first year here and didn't know what the procedure is, and I mean, that's something that I'll make sure it's on the next agenda so that moving forward, we don't run into that glitch again, so.
Well, what used to happen is we used to come every year because it moved, right? So we used to get permission to use the beach parking lot as a parking lot.
Right.
And then there were a couple years before they built the firehouse, we used the old Moose parking lot. So we used that, and so there were a couple years there when we were using that we didn't come because we didn't have any need to come. And then
So I just gotta kind of cut it short here
All
because
right.
so we can keep moving on. Selectmen comments, or we'll.
But with
Be going all
that,
night.
with that being said, I mean, I'm not against it at all. I just think that, in hindsight, there's got to be something in place, whether it's done on our end or I guess it's got to be done with the rec commission just to make sure everybody's on the same page. So,
Right.
so that's all I've got.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. Okay.
All right. I'll just make a quick comment. I missed last meeting. I did watch it though. And I just want to comment on the public comment discussion that has gone on. And I guess I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, that I don't feel that everybody's comment is important. But I think people need to realize that the Board of Selectmen meetings are really intended to get business done, business of the town. It's a meeting held in public. It's really not a public meeting like the town meeting is coming up this weekend. So, and I think people also have to realize it's great and appreciate everybody that comes to the meeting and stands up and speaks. But there's a lot of people in town that don't come to the meetings and have opinions as well. So sitting up here, it's a balancing act, and just because maybe there's 20 or 30 people here in the audience, it doesn't necessarily mean that is the overall consensus of the whole town. So I just like people to keep that in mind. And again, I'm not disregarding anybody's comment or opinion. That's not my intention, but it's just, I think to move the town forward, the people that you elect sitting up here should be making the decisions for the town, and it's, if you end up with comments on everything, it ends up just being a big debate, and I think it ends up being more of a distraction than actually moving forward. So that's all I have to say on that. And I just want to welcome Dave. I didn't officially get to welcome him because I wasn't here at the last meeting, and appreciate you stepping in. And
Thank you kindly. So far, so good, I think.
that's all I got. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in
We
favor?
Going to non-public.
I don't.
We can do it next meeting.
I looked at them. I don't think there's anything to really discuss.
No.
I don't know. If
Whatever the board's preference is,
Just make a motion to seal them.
keep them sealed. Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
It's- I didn't think there was anything in there that really needed to be sealed, was there?
No, nothing. I'm clearing.
Okay. No, I was.
It's-
So where there's a
Let
motion.
me
is there-
look. Let me read them again. I wrote them, just so you know. But my. No, it's fine. Did you see it?
Yeah, so, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so that, we had a motion to
Make-
I
seal
remain-
them, but it never got seconded.
Right.
Right, so that failed. And we got a motion we have a motion and a second for an adjournment, and now I'll take a roll call for that. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Dave, did Kathy talk to you about
I'm not sure.
Hi.
I was going to ask her.